Well, hello there. Welcome to a special episode of Ordinary Guys Bourbon. Today, it's just Ordinary Guy Bourbon. As what we've been doing is kind of cleaning up the archives, and we came across a lost episode from Season 1. In Season 1, we had an episode, I think it was supposed to be episode 21, that featured Dave Lannert. And Dave Lannert, a great guy, anything but ordinary. He was on the program. We talked together about his wife, Amber, the 3 kids, had a great discussion. Ken Pluff was operating the camera. And in those early days, as we were still trying to figure out how this all works, we had incredible banter, a wonderful discussion, sampled Remus Repeal Reserve Series 8. And then afterwards, as we were high-fiving each other, Ken told us that he forgot to hit record. We tried a couple times to regroup, to re-record the episode. It didn't happen, but nevertheless, to clean things up, we're going to go ahead and review that episode right now. So, a special episode of Ordinary Guy Bourbon. Here's Remus Repeal Reserve Series 8. This offering is $120. It was a gift, actually, I believe, from VIII. A very special bourbon, but let's read about it here. Remus Repeal Reserve is an offering from Ross and Squibb Distillery. It honors the repeal of Prohibition on December 5th, 1933, and Series 8, this offering, is the latest in a chain that was first released in 2017. Series 1 made up of bourbons from 2005 and 2006. Series 2 was made up of, quote, a medley of bourbons from 2007 and 2008. Series 3 was made up of 2 different mash bills from 2007 and 2008. Series 4 was made up of several bourbons from 2000 and, I believe, 2009. Series 5 was made up of another medley of bourbons from 2005 to 2008. Series 6 was made up of 5 rare bourbons from 2008 to 2014. Series 7 was made of 5 bourbons from 2007 to 2014. And this release, the oldest release ever, is made of bourbons aged 10 to 17 years. But what does that really mean? According to RemusBourbon.com, this liquid is comprised of 9% of bourbon from 2007, 24% of bourbon from 2014 that is a 21% rye makeup, and 67% of a different 2014 bourbon that is a higher rye, 36%. So remember, to be bourbon, one of the requirements is that the mash bill is at least 51% corn. So for the blend to be made with bourbons of 21 to 36% rye, as this would be considered a high rye bourbon. Back to the story. Ross and Squibb is a name that in 2022 was placed on a complex in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, a city along the Ohio River that separates Indiana and Kentucky, and just 25 miles west of Cincinnati. But the distillery goes back long before when Ross and Squibb Distillery was created. Back in 1809, Isaac Dunn and Stephen Ludlow opened up a distillery at this location, producing about 2 barrels per week, at most. In 1847, George Ross built Rossville Distillery and began distilling high rye whiskey. In 1869, W.P. Squibb and Company opened their doors on the same site. In 1919, ahead of Prohibition, Rossville Distillery began producing industrial alcohol to stay open. Across the parking lot, the W.P. Squibb and Company distillery was purchased by legendary bootlegger George Remus. More on Remus in a moment. After Prohibition, Rossville Distillery was sold to Seagram's in 1933, and after being seized by the FBI, the former Squibb Distillery became part of the old Quaker Company. In 2011, all of the site was purchased by Midwest Grain Products, MGP, and then the site was renamed to Ross and Squibb in 2022. So let's talk a little bit more about this George Remus guy. This guy was something special. He was born in Landsberg, Germany in 1876 and arrived in the United States in 1882. He graduated from the Chicago College of Pharmacy at age 19 and purchased his first pharmacy at age 21. After expanding modestly, he grew bored of long hours, and by age 24, he completed his law degree at Illinois College of Law, now DePaul University College of Law. He became quite famous in the criminal defenses, including pioneering transitory insanity, which is now known as temporary insanity. Noticing many of his criminal clients were very wealthy at the start of Prohibition, he wanted in on the game. He began purchasing distilleries and pharmacies, permitting him to produce and sell medicinal variants of otherwise illegal products. He would arrange, though, for his employees to hijack their own liquor so he could resell it illegally. Within 3 years, he had made an estimated $40 million and had an estimated 3,000 people working for him. He was a gracious host, often holding extravagant parties, such as a party in June 1923 during which he gave all 50 female guests at the party a new car. He was married in 1899 to Lillian Clough, whom he divorced in 1920 after he began an affair with his legal secretary, who would become his second wife, Augusta Holmes. During a 2-year term at Atlanta Federal Penitentiary for bootlegging, Remus confided in an undercover agent that all of his assets were in his wife's name. The undercover agent, Franklin Dodge, decided it was better to resign from his position, start an affair with Remus's wife, and liquidate all of their assets. Upon being released from prison, Remus's wife filed for divorce. However, on the way to the courthouse, Remus had his driver chase down the cab his wife was in, forcing it off the road. He then jumped out and fatally shot his wife. And to go full circle, Remus pleaded transitory insanity due to the distress of his wife's betrayal. After 19 minutes of deliberation, he was acquitted. He lived out the rest of his life in Covington, Kentucky with his third wife, Blanche Watson. He is often credited as the direct inspiration for The Great Gatsby, although this is unconfirmed. So that's the story of this liquid. Now, here's where it gets interesting. We've already done the scoring, so I didn't need my pen. I dropped that earlier. But what I did do is I decided that as I read through the scores, and this is the old ballot, the Season 1 ballot, I did decide to dust off some of the many silicone molds that we've got and try out different ice combinations. A lot of places you go to, they serve old fashions and bourbon with boutique ice. In fact, Laura and I had gone to a restaurant in Detroit several years ago, and I ordered an old fashioned, I think. Maybe it was just a bullet, I'm not sure. And it came, and I think the double old fashioned was priced at $46, if I remember correctly, and that included an $8 upcharge for artisanal ice. So, nevertheless, they sell all these different molds. There's round molds like we've got in this glass. In this glass, we've got some square molds. This one, we've got some diamond molds. Unfortunately, probably my favorite mold is this cat mold, but my wife and I can't figure out how to get the ice out of the tray after it freezes. So as we go through the scoring, I'm going to sample these, and at the end I'll tell you which glass, which ice variant I think is the best, and I'll tell you why. So for Heritage, Dave Lannert had scored this an 18 out of 20, and I scored this a 15 out of 20. This is a good bourbon. On taste and drinkability, this is a maximum of 40 in the old scoring system. And Dave had scored this a 32, and I seconded that with a 32. For affordability, the maximum in this was 30. Now remember, this bottle was $120, so it did not score that well on affordability. Dave had given it a 10, and I had given it an 8. And then last, the design of the bottle. This is a wonderful bottle. I like the design, very, I think that's Art Deco. I like the shape of the bottle. It's got some nice heft to it. It's a beautiful cork. It's got some writing on the inside of the cork as well. It talks about George Remus. Dave gave this an 8 out of 10, and I also gave it an 8 out of 10. So the final scores, Dave was a little bit more forgiving with the score. He gave it a 68. And I gave it a 63. As far as the ice is concerned, I prefer the smaller cubes. Now, we do have one of those countertop ice makers as well, and we use that a lot in the basement, in the studio here, but the ice melts too fast in that. The problem with the bigger cubes is twofold. First of all, they really don't melt that quick. So if you're really nursing a drink for a long time, that's great. If not, it's hard to really get used to, or for me, it's difficult to get used to the rate that the ice becomes water and waters down the drink. The other problem with it is that sometimes when you take a drink out of these, especially if it's a larger cube, and in fact I had a larger cube from this free bullet mold that wouldn't fit in the glass. But what happens is you take a drink of that, and that ice will kind of swirl around and splash some bourbon on you, and I don't like that. So I think between these three, I like the smaller cubes. This mold here, which is little diamonds, very nice. But I'll just continue getting ice out of my fridge. Until next time, from Ordinary Guys Bourbon, cheers.